Minutes with McNabb.
Welcome to Minutes with McNabb. My guest this week, Todd Tucker, Hollywood special effects makeup artist, director, and producer. We'll be talking about some of the masks, the makeup, and the monsters behind Pirates of the Caribbean, The Passion of Christ, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Minutes with McNabb.
Hey, this is Sean McNabb. Welcome to Minutes with McNabb. And my guest today is the awesome Todd Tucker, director, producer, Hollywood special effects makeup artist. Todd, welcome to Minutes with McNabb.
Sean, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's great to be here.
Thanks for doing this for us. It's our second show, so we're still working out some technical glitches and things like that. But thank you so much for being here. Todd, you're a talent in so many areas and just an inspiration to me and others, and just your positivity. And let's go back to the start. Let's talk about you growing up and what made you kind of want to get into this special effects thing. And please elaborate.
I'll make this as quick as I possibly can. Long story
Take
short,
your time.
I was a weird little kid with no brothers or sisters. I was an only child, and I was very artistic. I was into music. I was into art. So as an introvert kid, it was easy for me to really get into my artwork. And then as I got older, in the 80s, special effects makeup started becoming a real thing, and I got very interested in that. In 1990, I moved to Los Angeles and started working as a special effects artist. My first big film was Hook, which was great because I was a huge Spielberg fan and a huge Robin Williams fan. And I came here with a goal, which was to establish myself as a makeup effects artist. I also wanted to do some acting, and I enjoyed puppeteering. So I got in SAG, and I have a decent amount of credits as an actor puppeteer. And I wanted to direct and produce my own projects. And I have a couple of films that I've written, directed, and produced, and they won awards and did very well. And we are on to our next project, which you know much about because you're in this next project as the lead actor. So it's been great. I've been very lucky, and meeting people like you, honestly, dude, is the reason why I enjoy doing this. And as you know, it's very difficult because there's a lot of hurdles to get past. But when you got good people with you, it makes it much easier.
You're so right about that, and we're gonna come back to that. But what I wanted to talk to you about is you come from rock and roll, and we share that passion and that love of music and rock and roll. And I know that you were in several bands growing up, and tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my mom was a child star. She was a musician on something called the Lawrence Welk Show a long time ago. And so
we're dating ourselves, but I remember.
No. I mean, I barely remember it, but it was this show back in the day where they had a bunch of elderly people dancing for the most part. And she toured with Liberace, and she was a pretty big deal when she was a teenager. So when I was a little kid, she forced me to pick an instrument and start learning when I was about 5. So she tried to start me on the accordion, but I realized very quickly that wasn't very cool. So I moved over to drums right away. And at like 5, I started playing drums, and she said, I'll get you a drum set, but you're going to be taking lessons and taking this serious 1 to 2 hours a day practicing. If otherwise you're not doing it. And I went, I'm in. So I just dove in, loved playing the drums. By the time I was like 13, I could play jazz, and I could play rock. I could play any kind of, music at the time. So I started playing gigs and making decent money on the weekends at 13 years old, showing up, not even knowing what I was going to play, just showing up with my drum kit. And my mom was a musician at that point and would find these jobs for me, and they wouldn't tell the people how old I was. They would just say, your drummer's showing up, and everyone would freak out when this little kid would show up. But then, and it was weird, dude, because I would sit there and they'd be like, "Where's the drummer?" It's me. Whoa! And they'd get all panicky, and then I just take my drumstick and just spin it in between my hand. And for some reason, because I could spin a drumstick, it made everyone feel comfortable. So I would just set up and play and enjoyed that, and then had my own band.
And everybody knows accordion players get all the chicks. You know, I mean, come on.
No, dude, they don't. They really don't. Not anymore. So then I could sing, and I played keyboards too because I enjoyed writing music on keyboards. So I had a band after I graduated high school, and we got signed by a record label. We were up in the Bay Area, and we got to open up for a lot of great bands. For a while, we were opening up for the Tubes, and I was lead singer in that band, and it was cool. Yeah, we got to record up in Marin County, and it was a blast, man. I did that all the way up until around 1990. When Kurt Cobain showed up, and everything shut down for me, and then I moved to Hollywood and started working in effects.
Yeah, and tell us about that. I know you're from the Sacramento area, and so you just kind of San Jose. You just packed up your stuff and got in your van or your car and had with a dream, and just decided to move to LA and do this.
That was it, man. I had a couple of friends of mine who had taught me how to do special effects while I was doing the music. And I just was so into, sculpting and painting and creating puppets and masks and makeups. It was just so cool that I did that on the side while being, in the band and touring and stuff. And as soon as this all kind of shut down for me, I had those connections, and I had already built up a portfolio of things that I made. So I just moved to Los Angeles and packed up my car. It caught on fire halfway to Los Angeles, and I mean, it was like it's a whole tragedy story. But I got here, and
dude, we got to write that scene into the project.
Oh my God, it was horrible, man. It was so driving on the 5 from Northern California here. I was just about to go up to Grapevine. I bought this crappy little car for $500 to get here, and it caught on fire just before I was going to go up to Grapevine. And it caught on, and I had all these puppets and all these creatures and things that I made in my back seat, and they were on fire in my back seat. It was crazy.
Was there one movie that inspired you as a kid to want to get into the special effects makeup? Was it one or two that just, wow, that's what I want to do? And
there's a couple movies, and I'm sure you have a couple too, that are like those pinnacle movies that just stick in your head more than anything. For me, as a little tiny kid, it was Wizard of Oz. That was just like groundbreaking for me. I just love that movie. But then when Star Wars came out, that was kind of, I'm a total nerd. You can see by my toys and all my crap behind me that I'm a nerdy dude. So I loved Star Wars. And then when Jaws and Halloween came out, that was a changing thing for me too. That just made me love the genre. And then when Spielberg started making movies, and Carpenter, it was just such a great decade of the 80s,
Dude, I remember going and seeing Jaws in the theater. My brother and I, we were scared to take a shower after. I mean, it scared us so bad, But
dude, that's a movie that works. That's why, man.
That's filmmaking.
Movies can have life impacting, opportunity. I have yet to go in the water, in the ocean, since that damn movie. So it scarred me for life.
Right.
Yeah.
So you move to LA. You start working in the business, and I know you didn't found Illusion Industries until a few years later, but. I mean, check this out. Todd's film work, The Mask, The Passion of Christ, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Black Pearl, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I mean, those are some serious credits. So tell us about some of, those projects and, the cool stuff about that. Yeah.
First off, I will say this as a blanket statement. All those movies, when you work on a movie like that as a special effects makeup artist, you are working with a team of people. So you're one of potentially, 5 to a dozen people working on this. So it's a team effort. And luckily I worked with a lot of great people. So it was really cool that I got to work on those projects. It was a very good learning experience for me too, as a filmmaker, to sit there and be able to watch people like Spielberg and Coppola and, all these guys. and see how they made movies and what they did to inspire people, you know, or what they didn't do right that you know didn't work. Because I would just sit there on the sidelines and just watch people as they're making these movies and just soaked it all in. I loved it. But I got very, you know, I had a master game plan when I came here, which was get myself established in special effects makeup, start playing characters, and wheeled my way into the, you know, getting into the acting and puppeteering, which I did, and then played a bunch of characters on Charmed because I had up all the makeup effects and had a gig where I would play a good majority of the creatures I would play. A bunch of stuff on Disney Channel, a bunch of films where I was either puppeteering or playing the character, which was great. I got into SAG, and that opened up that whole world, which is fantastic. And then my other plan was, once I got that established, I wanted to start creating my own product and get in the DGA and direct. So I started off as a second unit director and worked on the films that we did special effects makeup for, and would second unit direct a lot of the effects that we would build, because a lot of directors didn't understand how to shoot that stuff. And I did,
Right.
and they were happy that they could just hand that off to me and I could make it look great for them. So I did that for a few years as second unit, and then directed and wrote my first film called Monster Mutt, which is kind of a kid's film, like a Harry and the Hendersons kind of movie. And then did a film a couple of years ago called The Terror of Hallows Eve, which did really well and got worldwide distribution and won a bunch of awards.
Yeah, tell me about that one. That was one of my questions. Elaborate on the Terrors of Hallows Eve.
The Terror of Hallows Eve was kind of based on me when I started sculpting and making monsters and stuff in my garage as a teenager. Before I met Matt Rose and Steve Wang, who are the guys that really taught me how to do this for real. But I was that weird kid, so I kind of based that whole story and that whole premise on me as a nerd kid getting beat up. And then I made this horror movie, and I got fortunate enough to get a bunch of great people on board. John Carpenter let me use music from his CDs. So I had John Carpenter music. I had Doug Jones, who had just done The Shape of Water, Eric Roberts, Juliet Landau. It was a great cast of genre actors, and it did really well.
Yeah.
It got worldwide distribution. I went to London for Fright Fest, which is the top horror convention, and met a bunch of great people. So it was a great experience for me. And because it was based on my bullying story, it kind of opened a door where I had a bunch of people responding to the true story bully aspect of it. And then I did a bully campaign and did something that I felt was good to do as a person. So I got to actually, you know, create a lot of elements out of it, and we merchandised it and everything. So all the connections I made on that movie have really helped me open up the doors for our next film.
Fantastic. I love that you brought in the you know, experiences you had as a child into the theme of the movie, and to help other people deal with bullying issues and just get that out there. It's an ugly thing, but it's something that needed to be spotlighted and dealt with. And thanks for doing that, brother.
Yeah, no, it was something I felt needed to be done, and I wasn't sure if I should focus on it or not, because to be honest with you, in the movie, you don't see a monster really for the first half hour, and that's a big no-no in a horror movie. And
Right.
I was like, I don't know if I should do this, but when I showed the movie, and I would have people line up and I would sign autographs, they'd come up and they'd start crying and telling me their bully story. And they're like, look, you made something that actually made a difference. And I was like, okay, cool. It was the right call to put a little time into the story and the kid and show that. And that's kind of how the old 80s movies were too. They took a little bit of time to, you know, give you the background of the characters. So when shit hit the fan, it would be worthwhile.
Yes. Okay. Not only a director and a special effects makeup artist, but also an actor. Your credits: Charm, Friends, Wizards of Waverly Place, That's So Raven. Tell me a little bit about Charmed, because I used to really like that show, and I have a bunch of friends that worked on it too. But tell me about Charmed.
Charmed was awesome. I had this great producer named John Perret who brought me on that show, and then brought me on a bunch of shows after. But I came on Charmed. JP, yeah, he's awesome. He's a really cool guy. Yeah, he worked on
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, yes, exactly. He brought me on that one too.
Yeah, so many shows.
We were sitting in a big giant meeting, and we were talking about the creature that I was going to build, and they wanted something really elaborate. And I go, guys, I'll tell you what, if you want, I can do this in the time frame and the money you want, if you let me play the character, because I already have a head cast and a body cast and teeth and lenses, and I can just build this quickly. And they're like, okay. So after I did it, they got real comfortable with me playing characters, and it brought their costs down, and I could do it faster, and I could play multiple characters, and you could never tell it was me because I could change my body language and really rock it out. So I got to play a bunch of characters on the show for like 5 seasons, and it was a great, if it was a full body creature, a lot of times they didn't want to put an actor through it. But a lot of times when they did put an actor in makeup, I would design the makeup, put the actor in the makeup, and then if it was a creature thing, a lot of times they would hire me to work with the actor and come up with a really cool body language for that character. So there's, all kinds of just cool animation to the makeup.
Yeah, and I've worked with you as an actor, and you got great chops, brother, and great choices and stuff. That leads me to my next question: is let's talk about this rock and roll dramedy, new project that I'm so blessed to be a part of, and I've watched you hatch it and given you ideas, and you bounce stuff off me, and you're inspiring, man, the way you've brought this whole thing together. And let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, first of all, dude, I'm going to say right now, for everyone out there, I've just met Sean, I would say almost a year ago. It was about a year ago, because I started putting this project together and really focusing on it right when everything shut down for the pandemic. And that was a horrible time to start trying to do something, but I was inspired to do it. And dude, I gotta tell you, when I met you, I instantly felt like I've known you my entire life. Like, you were such a grounded, cool, positive, good guy that I instantly was like, I gotta work with this guy. I gotta make him part of my team. So you were gracious enough to jump in and help me. What I ended up doing was, I had this project in my mind that was based on, the more I think about it, it's kind of funny. My daughter came to me and said, "Hey, do you think you would ever get your band back together and do a show?" Like, years ago. And I was like, "I don't know." And then that sparked my idea. And then my band, actually, just before we were supposed to go on tour for Whitesnake, that's when everything shut down, and I didn't get that opportunity to do that. That was really a big break for us, and that got ripped away. So I kind of used that story idea and created a different character to go through it, and then kind of used my current day situation as a guy that wishes he could get his band back together and go play that damn show. And
Right.
I said, screw it. I'm going to create this opportunity for myself and put myself in as the drummer. I'm going to put a band together. It's a real band. I'm going to make sure these guys can act so we can create a character band. And I'm going to write a script that's a PG-13 fun comedy, and make something that is feel good 80s rock and roll that will literally make people smile at a time when they need to smile. Right now, the timing for this is perfect, and this sounds really cheesy, but I feel driven and compelled to make this project right now. And now that I've got a great band that can literally do an album, go on tour, and potentially be one of the greatest bands ever as a showpiece, with everything that we're putting together, we've created a brand here for the most part. And I don't want to give too much away, but ultimately, yourself, Toshi, Jeff, and Kurt are the guys in the band, and you guys, I feel blessed to have everyone in my mix. It got handed to me as a gift from God, so I'm moving this forward. We will be shooting this summer. Everyone just move out of my way, please.
And I want to say that the cool thing about the 80s, and a lot of people knock 80s music, but here's the deal. It was fun. We really played, and it was all about just a good time, and it was real, and that's what I love about this project. It translates and it correlates. Music is about having fun, and I really got that when I first met you. I felt the same way, dude. I walked into that studio, and there's all this crazy shit around, monster stuff. And I'm just like, wow, man, how cool is this? And then I met you, and just your energy is just infectious, your passion for this project. And I was just like, wow, man, this guy is awesome. And I feel like I've known him, we're going to be really good friends. I don't know if you notice, but usually when you meet somebody, this is the way it is for me, at least. I'm like, I'm going to be really good friends with that guy from the first time I meet him. And that's the way it goes, And I got that from you immediately, you know?
It doesn't happen very often. Literally, it's only happened to
Yeah.
me about, it happens like maybe every 5-10 years. You'll meet somebody and be like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
we've known each other forever, haven't we?"
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing,
And,
man. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited. I totally agree with you too. And right now, the trick on this project for me was I didn't want to just make a project that catered to you and I. I needed to make a project that would cater to 20-year-old kids, because
yep.
that's the audience right now that to be honest with you needs more help than anybody, and needs that feel good vibe, and all the music that we're going to be doing is very in that Journey, Bon Jovi, Foreigner range. So it's all that upbeat, feel good, positive rock music. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. This is literally going to be a rock and roll Cobra Kai.
And I love that you said that, because, not only do we have the 20-year-old storyline, but then there's the storyline of, the middle-aged guys, and that's us, and
Yeah,
those people. And I love it. Shows like Cobra Kai, that's what they've done there. They've brought those two demographics together and made this
it's not easy to
cohesive
do.
thing.
That's two
Yeah.
very, very different demographics. Cobra Kai did it in a way too, where they were, and this is exactly what I think our script does also, is it literally connects and bridges the gap between like 20-year-old kids and their rocker parents. And there's a lot of rocker
Yep.
parents out there, people that used to play in bands, or at least used to go all the time and love that,
Yeah.
part of their life. And I feel bad for people who didn't get to experience that back in the 80s, because it was the greatest decade ever for movies and music. It was just as good as it gets. And that's what I want to. I want to have these 20-year-old kids. I want them to connect with the music, and we've talked about this. The music's going to have a current edge to it, so that 20-year-old kids will connect with it. But I want to make 20-year-old kids feel that good vibe that we felt back in the day when we would listen to this music, because it was a way to get through hard times. Music can help you in that way, and I want to make that happen again somehow.
Exactly. And I've been blessed in my career to have people come up to me all over the world and go, I got married to that song, or that song, when we were going through a really hard time, it got me through. And and sometimes it just makes the hair on your arm stand up, and you're like, wow, okay, cool, and
It's kind of funny.
it's yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, it's kind of funny because what you and I do, as far as like creating entertainment for people, a lot of times I don't really think of it as being, really, really important. Like my wife works with a special needs kid. That's important.
Yeah.
Making goofy movies and making fun stuff that I would do on my weekends, if not, as not a job. I don't know that that's always important, but when I have certain people come up to me and go, what you worked on or the music that you wrote help me get through a time, then I go, oh, you know what? Actually, entertainment really is important if it makes someone's life better on some level. And it's made my life better all through my life. So I understand that vibe. So I for you, when people come up to you and go, that song really meant something to me. Thank you for bringing that vibe and that thing back to me. That's important.
Yeah. It sure is. And it's cool to be able to be part of people's lives like that. And, long after we're gone, those songs will live on, hopefully. And that's a cool thing, That's a really cool thing. Let's see. Okay. Tell me about Halloween Wars. And I don't know really much about that, so please fill us in on Halloween Wars.
So I got a phone call from the production company, and they asked me if I wanted to be a judge on the show. And I've been offered other reality shows to be a judge, but they want me to put my name on it. And the other reality show, or one of the other shows I've been asked to be on, wasn't real. Like they set a lot of the stuff up, and I told them I couldn't do it because I can't put my name as a brand on something like that. But when Halloween Wars called me, I loved that show, and they said, no, it's 100% real. I was like, count me in. So I got there, and it was so much fun. And the guys that are building the stuff on the show basically have a bunch of different food design specialists, and they create these displays of full body characters and creatures and environments, and it's all out of food. And it's amazing to see how they do that, because they're sculpting and painting and doing a lot of the same techniques I do at my studio, but with food. And it's so cool. And when I got on the show, I saw at one point that they were doing these skits and they were wrapping the host in toilet paper to make him look like a mummy. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is horrible. We can't do this, guys. Let me help you. Let me bring in some makeups and some puppets and give you some production value if you're up for that." And they're like, "Would you do that?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I brought in makeups. I put myself in makeups, and we did skits, and I brought in puppets and props and all that stuff. And they loved it. And then the next season, they called me back and they were like, "Hey, we wanted to know if you'd like to come back again. Our ratings went up, and we want to see if you'd be willing to, do the exact same thing again." So I was like, "Yeah." So I loved it. I was on there from season 7 to season 10, and had a great time. Got to meet a lot of great people, and it was a fun experience. And oddly enough, out of all the things I've done, I was kind of the Simon Cowell on the show, because I was the one that actually could criticize their artwork. And once I found out that's what they wanted me to do, then that's what I did. I did it nicely, but I mean, I was the guy that would really kind of, point out their flaws and tell them how to fix it, what they should do the next time. So I sometimes when I'm on the street, I'll get stopped by someone. They'll be like, "Hey, you're that Simon Cowell guy on Halloween Wars." I'm like, "Sure, I'll take that title. That's fine. Why not? I like that guy."
All right.
But it's been great, man. That show's been awesome. It has a huge audience, and people love the show, and it's real. So it's very cool.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, and I want to talk about philanthropy, and I've seen you do it, and I know you're all about it. And I've seen you dress up as the Grinch and just light up these kids, and just see the joy that you bring to them. Can you do a little bit of that Grinch stick for me? Because I know you got all these voices and stuff. Do you mind?
Oh,
Come
wow.
on. Give me a little
Okay.
bit. But putting you on the spot, bro.
Sometimes it's a little bit hard to get into character, but that's okay. I'll do it for you, and just for you, Sean. That's it. Now leave me alone, would you?
Perfect. Man,
Jeez.
you are so good.
Yeah,
at
what
that.
a goof, man. My kids are so embarrassed by me. It's horrible.
I've seen a couple of pieces where you did that and went to some homes of kids, and oh my God, it was just so cool to witness and just watch those kids light up. And please keep doing that, man. I know you will, and that's just inspiring to see, and for those kids.
It
Okay.
sounds
Go
stupid, but I think for you and I, when we get to a certain position in our careers, it's kind of our job to inspire other people and do what we can to utilize what we do to maybe make the world a little better if it's possible. So it's kind of a responsibility when you get to a certain point in your career, and I take it very serious.
Amen to that. And I always said there was, when I was coming up, there was always those people that took the extra time and to help bring me along. And I always brought that into thought and into play, is like, let's empower our youth, man. Let's bring that knowledge to them. Let's give them that extra time. Let's believe in them, because you just never know how that's going to affect a kid,
Right. No, I think it's a great thing, and I know you do it too, and I respect that about you.
Right on. Okay. This brings me to my next, this is called the Full Throttle Rapid Fire 5, where I ask you 5 questions. You can answer them however you want. Don't feel like you got to be rushed, but okay. Who was the biggest influence on you?
Wow. As a filmmaker, I would say Jim Henson and Steven Spielberg. As a makeup effects artist, I would say my friends Matt Rose and Steve Wang.
Awesome. All right. This
That's
is something
quick, right?
you and I.
Good comeback. That was fast.
That was fast, especially because it's so on the spot, and for the audience, he has no idea what I'm going to ask him. So, okay, I love this one. What's your favorite kind of music and your favorite bands?
Wow. Okay. Favorite kind of music, hands down, feel good 80s rock. My favorite bands: Foreigner, Journey, Bon Jovi, Rush.
Wow.
There's a lot more, but you get the gist.
Yes, yes, and I wouldn't you love to work with Foreigner one of these days?
You know, Sean, that would be a dream come true.
More on that. More on that later.
Uh,
Okay.
that was
All right.
a little hint thrown out there by Sean.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Todd. If you could have a billboard about you, what would it say?
Oh. Uh, what would it say? That's a tough one.
I know.
You know what? I would put myself in some stupid, funny looking makeup and I would say, stay positive and have a sense of humor.
And that's it, man. And that's you. You are all positive, brother. And I love that about you. Okay. Let's see. Who's the most famous person in your contacts on your phone? Not my question, by the way. One of my producers.
Oh man. You know what's funny? I have a bunch of numbers in my phone from different stars that I've worked with over the
Yeah.
years that I don't even know if they're good anymore. But I've got Robert Downey Jr. I've got believe it or not, Tracy Lords. I did a movie with her. Mel Gibson. I mean, just people that I
Yeah.
worked with, but I'm sure the numbers are no good anymore. But I don't know why they gave me. Well, I was working with them, and they needed to be able to reach me back and forth, you know, for contact. So it's not that they gave it
Yeah.
to me because they loved me or wanted to hang out. They just gave it to me because I had to work with them. But yeah,
Awesome.
I'll say, yeah, yeah.
Working with Mel had to be cool, huh?
You know, Mel is a great, great filmmaker. Working on Passion of the Christ with him was crazy. It was one of the greatest experiences for me. And he gave me a great opportunity to learn the best way to combine digital effects and practical effects as a filmmaker, which now I can use all the time for my stuff and things I work on. So
Yeah.
he's just a great filmmaker, man. The guy's amazing. It doesn't matter what you think about his personal life. I mean, the guy's a legend and he's amazing, hands down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll never forget walking into your studio and seeing the cross and that you built, you know, with Jesus up there and everything. And that gave me goosebumps, man, when I walked into your studio and saw that. And what beautiful work, my friend.
Thank you. I've tried to give it back to him, but he doesn't. It's too big. He doesn't want to store it. He's like, no, you take care of it for me. I'm like, but Mel, it's 16 feet tall. He's like, exactly.
Right.
I'm pretty sure
All right.
he has room to store it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It looks great over there. Okay. If there was one word you'd want people to associate with your name, what would it be?
Motivative.
Yeah. And I see that about you, you know, working on this project, and I've been so blessed to be a part of this with you and, be a producer on the project. Thank you for that. I have never seen someone more motivated and driven. I mean, you're there every morning at 8 o'clock, rocking and rolling, doing what you got to do. And it's just inspiring to me. I think if people had half the drive that you have, they would be so successful, you know. And thanks for that, because you inspire me to be driven.
Well, I appreciate that. I speak as I'm on the council of a couple different effects, or for an effects makeup school called Mud, and I go talk to them all the time. And usually when I go talk to them, I'm like, guys, I'll answer any questions you want about makeup, but I'm going to talk to you about etiquette and as you move forward as a person in the industry. And I just try to instill in people that you have to be passionate about what you do or you're in the wrong business, especially the film and music industry, because if you're doing it because you think you're going to make a lot of money and that's really it, you're going to suffer way too much and find out that it usually isn't the case. It's not always about making money. So I try to get people to enjoy what they do, because it goes by very quickly. And if you can at least enjoy, if you're lucky enough to enjoy your occupation, then you should appreciate that and really and try to be positive.
I couldn't agree more. And, I get a lot of people saying, I want to be a musician, I want to be an actor, but they don't want to do the work. I think you really have to put in the work. You got to read plays, you got to do plays, you got to read scripts. You got to put we used to put the needle back on the record, learning songs and learning that Rush song and stuff like that. And that's all changed a lot, with things like YouTube and all that. All those hours, what do they say? You got to put 10,000 hours into something to become a master at it. And I believe that.
I too, it's you got to go back to the old school days of what you and I used to do when we didn't have all that technology, and it was hands-on. Everything was hands-on. Yeah. But the reality is human nature is still the same. You still need to put those hours in order to be as good as you need to be. Even if you can do shortcuts because you can watch a tutorial online and it can kind of get you there quicker, it still takes the time. And the reality is once you start doing it, there has to be a part of you where it's actually in you. Otherwise, you'll only go to a certain point. You really have to have the talent and the drive a little bit instinctually to be able to take it to that high level. But it takes the hours, and it's hard for kids to take that time nowadays.
Yeah, they want it instant, or they just want to be famous. They're not about the craft, or I can't say everybody, but a lot of people just want it, and they don't want to actually embrace the craft. And that, to me, that is the most important thing. Whether it's playing music or acting or doing whatever we do, producing, it's really about the craft of it, and you got to love it, I think, to really put your best foot forward. I always tell this story. I had somebody go, "Man, isn't it great just flying all around the world and playing shows? It must be great, and just party and everything." And I'm like, "Why don't you come along for a weekend and see what you think?" And they did. And we did 3 cities. Yeah, we did Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in 3 different cities. So, you probably slept 4 hours a night. You were at lobby call at 6, flew to the next city, sound check, took a nap, did the gig. By the end of the weekend, they were like, "Dude, I'm tapping out, man. This is a lot different than what I thought." And by the end of the weekend, their ass was kicked. And I'm like, hello, sometimes it is work,
No one understands, unless you've done it, no one understands how actually difficult and physically draining touring is.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly traveling, and then rushing to that next location. Everything's about being somewhere at a certain time. So it's like you're always traveling to get to that point, do your sound check, now wait. Now do your show, now get the hell out and go do it again. And you did it a lot more than I did, and I didn't go world travel like you did. So I can't even imagine doing that in other countries. That's got to be an interesting situation. It's hard though.
It's great. And I always said the best part of it was that hour and a half or 2 hours on stage, and the other part was the work. That's the beauty of it, is doing the show. Now I can also say that probably holds true, doing 14, 16-hour days on a movie or something like that. You do that for a month at a time, and you're going to feel that too, but as long as you love the craft, that's what it's all about,
But that's where that passion comes in. Because you know what, if you don't love the craft, when you're in the 17th, 18th hour of a film shoot, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be a little tired. So if you love what you're doing, your body will force you to get through it. If you don't, it's
absolutely
tough.
Yep. And I will say one thing: comfort insoles for your shoes. That could make a 16 to 18-hour day so much more pleasant.
Yes.
Because when your dogs start barking, those things really come in handy. Todd, thank you thank you so much for blessing us with your presence. And I am so blessed to have you in my life. And for the second Minutes with McNabb segment, I couldn't have had a better guest. And I just love and respect you, brother. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, and I feel the exact same way. And congratulations on the podcast. And you're awesome. You deserve every bit of success you get, and I can't wait for us to make a movie.
That's right. And as we build followers and as we build this thing, I'd love to have you back. And believe me, I'm so grateful for you helping us get this off the ground. And I want to thank my two producers, Joe and Angelo, because they've just put tireless hours and love into this thing. And it looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks good. Good job, guys.
And we got great music that I put together to go with this, but it's really just been a wonderful experience so far. And thank you for making it a wonderful experience for our second ever Minutes with McNabb. We will see you next week. Thank you so much, Todd Tucker. God bless.
Thanks, brother.